Hi everyone! Well, I've got something incredible to show you today. Now, you've probably seen this before online or wherever because it's been out for a few years, but this is the first time I'm seeing it in person and the first time I'm reviewing it, obviously, so it has absolutely blown me away. This is the book of Wildergorn and it's by Jamie Courtier. He is a renowned artist and visual effects expert, and he's worked on some huge movies, Harry Potter for one. He's also worked with Jim Henson, which is the Muppets creator, the animation side of it. He's very prolific, incredibly talented, and I've actually reviewed one of his products before. If you've been with me for a long time, you may remember, but it was around about 7 years ago that I reviewed his giant colouring posters. And when I say giant, these posters will probably just about fit on your dining room table. Like, they are absolutely massive. And I'll put the link to the review that I did in the description if you're curious. But I was watching it back earlier and it's so cringe. I hate watching my own videos anyway, but I don't know. Anyways, you can see the posters on that video. And like I said, they're absolutely massive, but I think that was slightly prohibitive in a way because there will be a lot of people who just don't have the room to colour something so big, and also might be a little bit put off by the size of it and how much colouring is actually to be done on that poster. So what Jamie has done is he's produced an A3 sized book of his posters from Wildergorn. Now, A3 size is still huge, don't get me wrong. I've got a Johanna Basford book here to compare to, so you can see just how big it is. But the production quality on this is amazing. It is second to none, honestly. And you can sit on your settee and you can colour it. It's got hard back, so you don't need anything to lean on. You can just take your pencils or your pens with your book to your settee, and you don't have to be fiddling around with a giant poster. So anyway, here's the book. Before I get into the book though, I want to show you what you also receive when you order the books. You do get a few extra freebies. So you get a signed print. This is the Ferry to Wildergorn. And this is really nice. Again, quality paper, quality print. And it's nice to have something personally signed by the artist. You also get a set of postcards that you can colour in and send to a friend or display or frame or whatever it is you want to do. So here are the postcards. You get quite a few of those. You can slow this down if you wanted to have a bit of a better look. There we go. So on the back of the postcards, it's room for you to write an address and a small message and put your stamp in the corner. So if you did want to send them through the post, they are ready for you to do so. But again, it's really, really nice just to have these extras when you order a product, and they're really well made. So yeah, I'm really, really pleased with it. Okay, so the book, like I say, it's A3. It is all about the world of Wildergorn, which Jamie created. It's not something that he collaborated with on Harry Potter or Jim Henson or any of that. This is his own world that he's created, his own characters, his own villages and places and creatures and everything, and it's just amazing, really. So like I said, the book is hardback front and back. There's the knock. It is spiral bound down the left hand side, so you can completely open it, turn it back on itself, and it's just so easy to sit on your settee and colour it like I did. It's got a beautiful red ribbon bound into it so that you can save your spot in the book. And I'm going to show you the back as well. Here you can see pages inside, just small thumbnails, and you will see already the amount of detail that's packed into these pages. It is not for the faint of heart. But if you were looking at the posters and you were feeling a bit worried about being able to colour so much on such a large area, again, this book has brought everything down a little bit more manageable, a little bit easier to colour and to tackle. So it says here, the Book of Wildergorn is not yet finished. Should you be tempted to embark on an extraordinary adventure, inside is a map to guide you to places where the drawings in this book were made. There you may, with instruments of your own choice, capture the true colours of Wildergorn and at last make this journal complete. And then he tells you that all of these are available as the posters, which are 27 by 40 inches. So that just gives you a bit of an idea. Right, let's get into the book. Waffled enough. So hopefully I'm going to be able to fit all of this on the screen. I don't know if I can, you know. Maybe if I do it like that, you can sort of see most of it. Anyway, so the inside of the cover is a map. This will show you all of the different places within Wildergorn. We've got Watergorn, Astriel, Rune, there's lots of different places. And then on the back as well, the back inside cover is the rest of the map. So you can see a lot of other places within the world. It's crazy that someone has created this whole world, you know. It's like, I don't know. I obviously don't have the imagination of someone like Jamie, because to me this is just amazing work. So the first page is an invitation. So this is basically a letter from Jamie, and he's telling you that when he journeyed to Wildergorn, he was lucky enough to meet wizards and you know, see all of these incredible sights, make friends, and you know, it was just such a crazy, incredible experience for him. But he has not managed to colour the scenes, so that is our job. We've got to take on the adventure and finish off the pages with our colours. And the thing about fantasy colouring books, and I've not usually been into them, I'm not really a fantasy, science fiction, that kind of person, but the thing with them is you can colour them anything you like, and there is no wrong answer. Pink trees, you know, just do whatever it is you want to do, and it's fantasy, so no one can tell you that it shouldn't be that colour. And I think when I reviewed Kirby Roseanne's Alien Worlds, I mentioned how it's not really my thing. It's very science fiction-y, and it's not really something that I'm interested in. But then people in the comments sort of chipped in and said, yeah, but Claire, you know, you can use any colours that you want on this. There is no right or wrong. You know, you can have sky blue, pink elephants, you know, it doesn't matter. And that is a really good point, because it lets you be a lot freer with your colouring. You don't have to sort of make decisions on what you think would be realistic or natural. Anyways, going on again. So we've got a little contents page. I'm going to have to keep moving the book. I'm sorry if that's annoying. We've got a contents page of all the different worlds that are going to be in these pages. And then we get into the actual colouring. So, as well as lots to colour, we also have the stories that go along with the posters or the illustrations, which is a big help for me. Like I said, somebody who's not really into fantasy and that kind of thing, reading this has really helped me be immersed in the world of Wildergorn and know what I'm looking at. You know, that's the thing. You can look at these, and because there's so much detail, you just think, where do I begin? Like, what's going on here? And you've really got to look and fathom out who's doing what and where things are. But when you've got the text to go with it, telling you who the people are, what the buildings mean, and what's going on, it really does help you to be immersed. So yes, you've got all the information about the Gong Wizards of Astriel. Again, just incredible imagination at play here. I don't think I could think of my own character and personality traits and all that kind of thing. It's amazing. But yes, it is a very detailed book. I'm not going to lie. You can see it. If that is not your thing, you might want to give it a miss. But I would say take a second look, because I was put off by the detail as well. But like I say, I've come to appreciate that it can be really fun to colour when you just want to let yourself go and stop jumping from page to page, you know, do something a bit different. So we've got more text here, and this is still within Astriel. I'm hoping you can see all of this. I probably can't. Let me move this out of the way. I might be able to straighten it up a little bit more. Hopefully you can see the majority of that. There we go. So we're still in Astriel, and it's, again, beautiful, beautiful details. It's something that you will figure out what's going on as you go through as well, you know, because you'll be colouring maybe this here, and then you'll realise that it's not attached to that because it's different, but it's only as you're colouring that you start to identify little bits and pieces of what's going on. So now we move on to the Airstones of Ska, and you can see already that this is the one that I've coloured. I haven't finished the border yet, but I was too excited to show you to carry on anymore. So this one, I read obviously all of the text, and for some reason this one really stuck out to me as such a fun, happy page. The Airstones of Ska are, in fact, let me just read it a little bit to you because it's really fun. So, so they're called, I don't know if it's pronounced bobols or bobbles, but they carry people and their goods to and fro through the cities. And they look a bit like balloons, but if they sit on the ground, they can't be lifted. They're so heavy, no matter how much you try, you cannot lift them. But that's why they're known as Airstones. So we don't know how something that heavy can fly, but they can easily support a fully laden shopping cart, and they can fly faster than lightning. So it's saying that with all of these really, really tall buildings and trees, there's been people that have fallen off the top, but they have never ever hit the ground because the bobble, whatever they're called, they will immediately swoop to rescue them. So you get kids just jumping off the top for fun, and they'll come and rescue them, and they've never ever missed. So it's such an interesting story and a world to get immersed into. And it just tells you all about them. Obviously, I'm not going to read it all to you, but I'll show you the page that I've coloured. So I do need to do this bit as well. I'll just move this into shot. So incredibly, I used pencils for most of this. Now, when I was colouring the giant poster 7 years ago, I coloured with alcohol markers because it just made the whole process a lot quicker and I wanted to get it done. Now I thought to myself, I'm going to have a real challenge and I'm going to use pencils for the majority of it, which I did. So Prismacolor and Luminance pencils used for this, but majority was Prismacolor and a bit of white gel pen here and there. The only thing that I used markers on was the base coat of this craft that we've got at the front here. So this is being carried by the 4 bobbles, and this was a wood surface at the bottom. So what I wanted to do was give it a quick coat of a light brown and then do all of my wood grain detail in pencil, which is what I did. The other thing that I used was some metallic paints, KJ designed by Karen, the only ones I ever use. They're absolutely fantastic. And I'll just show you those in the light. So if you look at the bobbles, I don't know, armour, would you call it? If I just take them out of the light, they're gold, but when you shine them under the light, absolutely gorgeous. And then the same here, there's some there. Where else have I put it? I've put it on this bit, and where else? Oh yeah, so hang on, this is such a big book, it's difficult. On the little kilns that make the smoke that feed the bobbles, I've put some purple metallic, and then also on these kilns is some flash copper paint. So hopefully that is showing up well on camera, but it is so bright and sparkly. And I just thought, you know what, this book, it needs everything you can throw at it. It needs it, you know. It's just, you just keep piling things on top and it just makes it look even more incredible and fantastical than it does already. And I also used a few of her neon paints as well. I will link those in the description. But I had such a fun time colouring this. It was something that did daunt me a little bit, I'm not going to lie. But once I got into it and figured out what was what on the page, it was such an enjoyable process. And it was so nice to work on something over days and nights, you know, and evenings, whenever I got the chance just to add a little bit more colour, rather than desperately wanting to colour it and get it finished, you know. So anyways, there's my page. Now I have got you zoomed out a little bit on the iPad, so I'm just wondering whether this detail isn't quite as good. If I zoom you into one times or 1%, I think the detail's a bit better, but I want you to be able to see the whole of the book. So apologies for that. I'll leave it on 1 for a minute so that you can just see a bit more clear the detail. Oh, this is so difficult. Here we go. And yeah, every single little element has been coloured and blended. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. So I'll zoom you out again a little bit more. And this is where it might start to get slightly out of focus. Okay, and we'll move on. So next we've got the Stormfish of Soul. So these are giant creatures that are actually quite placid, but I believe they've been magically, let me just read it because I've forgotten. They, yeah, a powerful sorcerer cast out of Astriel by the Gong Wizards sought to enslave the people of Soul, but because the inhabitants were in possession of Quicksight, they resisted his mighty sorcery. So he then, where is it? He's basically possessed these creatures, you know, to be under his will. So yeah, it's again just really interesting. Fantastic world to have created from your brain, you know. It's amazing. And we've got Wildergorn. So this is showing you the river Tor that winds its way southwards, flowing the path of a huge natural fissure as ancient as the land itself. So this is a lot of obviously water things going on, water wheels, mechanics. There is a lot of industry in these pages, and it's like they've had to make their own industry from scratch, you know. I don't know as if you'll see any modern technology in this at all. It's amazing, really. It really is. You know, when you sit and think about it, just how someone can come up with all this, it's incredible. But I keep going on about that and I can hear myself repeating myself, so I'll stop. But yeah, so you've got the boat here that's running through the river, and there's all sorts going on. This is a bridge. I've only just noticed the bridge. These are interesting creatures just flying around with human heads. I think they've even got a, yeah, they have. I'm not going to zoom into that, but they are quite humanistic in certain ways. Okay, yeah, there we go. So just carrying on with the same area of Wildergorn. Those creatures again. And this is the Helter Skelter. There's just so much going on. This is like a nighttime scene, I think. This will be really nice to see how people play with light sources. And before I carry on, I just want to talk about the paper quality. I mean, I can't call this paper. This is card. This is cardstock. Let me do the ping test. I mean, I can barely ping it, you know. It's so thick. It does have a little bit of tooth for your pencils, as you can see from my picture. If I just nip back a minute. You knew this was going to be a rambly video because it's me. You can see the blends that I've achieved with the coloured pencil. Hopefully, yeah, you can. You know, going from dark blue right up to light blue, and it's really easy to blend on this paper. So very, very good quality. Again, if you wanted to use your markers, you can do. Alcohol markers you'll have to be careful of because they will bleed through literally anything. But there is a testing page at the back. So just carrying on now. This is the Story Beads of Sarad. Nestling on top of the great outcrops of rock that rise from the floor of the salt plains of Sarad in the east of Wildergorn are the cities of Rune and Sarad. It is here that the memory beads of Wildergorn are made. Fashioned from the seeds of giant pod trees, the beads are treasured throughout the land as means of storing thoughts and sending messages. Ideas, stories and news are mind-pressed into the beads, whereby they can be retrieved in the mind of whoever holds a bead in their hand. So again, it's just really nice to have a little story to go along with it and figure out what it's about. So this is the page that the poster that I coloured. It's Potter's Road, I remember. And you can see that he's had to kind of split up the illustration because it's in a smaller format now. But I do remember colouring this giant thing here. What was it called? It's some kind of craft. But yeah, I do remember colouring that and the little creatures that are pulling it as well. So if you've got the posters but you wanted to do something that's bound for a start, so you can keep it all in one place, something that's a bit smaller and easier to colour, then you'll love this. This is more detail from the Potter's Road. The table, they're all having a feast, having a chat, and the really cool flora and fauna and plants and trees. This is about the cave fissures of Sevist. Hopefully, again, I'm pronouncing things right. Kind of strange looking again. And this, oh, look at this. I've literally just seen this bit of the page. It's so cool. Like every time you come back and look at the book, you find something else. So this is like an elephant horse kind of thing. I wonder if it tells us. It's going to tell us, isn't it? No, I'm just wasting time trying to read through it. Air mules. It's an air mule. There we go. So they can fly. They look a little bit dragonish, but also elephant-like and horse-like at the same time. And it's talking about when the tide rises, the huts that are supported by bags of air float up towards the roof of the cave, and fishing hooks will sink down into the sea. Then when the waters stop, the fishermen can apply the brakes and await the tide going in. Then as the waters ebb, the huts are left swaying in the wind high above the Tor estuary, while the hooks search down in the deep waters, waiting for the bite of a fish. And you can see all of the fish here getting pulled up to the top. Again, it's all about industry and mechanics. Absolutely stunning. I can understand, though, how this would be daunting for some people because it's just layers upon layers upon layers of detail. But let me assure you that when you get into starting a page, you will be able to see what's what and distinguish things. It's just one of them things you can't really do until you've got the book. This is about the Tower Mines of Ska. This is at the source of the River Tor, beneath the Krieg Mountains in the northwest of Wildergorn. This land is riven with great fissures of many shapes and sizes. It's wrought by subterranean upheavals long before any flicker of life appeared in Wildergorn, which is now named the Ska. So it's inhabited by the tower miners, who constructed these tall towers around which a lacework of aqueducts and a barrow bridges give them access at all levels to mines honed into the rock faces of the chasm. So again, sometimes I need to read this twice or three times to sort of let it sink in, because there's so many words that I don't know what they mean because they've been made up. Jamie has created this world and he's created names and different things, and in order for me to understand what it is that he's talking about, I'm looking at the illustration, I'm finding the bit that he's talking about, and then it makes sense. So that's probably what you'd have to do. I mean, you might not have to do that. You might just get it instantly and it's just me being an idiot. But anyhow, we've got some more detail here from the tower mines. Gorgeous, gorgeous. There's a lot more dark ink on this, I'm just seeing now. And I think these are the wizard hats. They're magic hats. But you can get evil hats as well. You've got to be careful that you're not sitting still and an evil hat just comes and lands on your head, because then it will take control of you. The Pogs Defense. First of all, I was like, Pogs, like the game that we used to play at school. I don't know if any of you are around my age, but here in the UK, we used to play a game called Pogs. There was Tazos as well. And instantly when I saw the Pogs Defense, I was like, oh, the Pogs. But no, it's nothing to do with Pogs from the 90s. But I've still got mine in the loft. It's crazy. Anyway, so these creatures look a little bit like Moomins, and I believe that might have been an inspiration as well of Jamie's. And then you've got the enemy. Trying to find words again. The enemy are called the Skarks. And so you can see they're constantly trying to take over, but the Pogs are always keeping the defence line going. And then we're looking at the place where the enemy, the Skarks, retreat to, where they live. And it says they are forever determined to quench the Pogs' abhorrently liberal lifestyle by invading their neighbour's island to institute a proper sense of order. So all the time they're just thinking and planning and plotting, how can we take over the Pogs Defense? So it's just incredible. Like, I don't know how many times I want to use that word, but it really is. So there we go. Here's the end page, and I'll just read this to you. All is not as it seems in Wildergorn, and there are hidden dangers of which to beware. Some of the most magically powerful creatures in the land are hats, and whilst the hats of the Gong Wizards are a force for good, their counterparts, the dark hats, are dangerous. If you fall under the spell of a dark hat, you will no longer be in command of your own body. For however long it deems you to be of use, you will live only to serve the evil needs of that hat. So it's just so much fun the way that Jamie writes it, as if he really has been to Wildergorn, and you know, you've got the chance to go there now as well and just fully immerse yourself. Brilliant. So this is the colour test page that I told you about earlier, and as you can see, I've been writing down colours that I was using on the page that I did. I've also done a little bit of testing of the markers that I was using, but as I say, the majority of it was Prismacolor pencil. So I have got all of my blends here for the different elements in the page. So if anybody wants to know any blends, well, I don't know whether you'll be able to see that. Let me zoom you in again to full. There we go. So you can pause this, and if there's any blends that you wanted to see on the Airstones page, then there you go. So on the back, I've got to zoom you out a little bit again. 0.6, that'll do. So on the back, you've got a completely blank page for you to test on, and then you've got the rest of the map as I showed you earlier. So I am going to test a couple more things while I'm here, just to show you what works, what doesn't. So these that I was using, what were they? They were Karin brush markers. So they're water-based, and they did not at all bleed through the other side. As you can see from the back of my Airstones page, there was no bleed through whatsoever. So fantastic for your water-based pens, but do check them first on this page just in case. Let's give a go to some alcohol markers and see what happens. So let's do it here. I'm going to do a 1 layer, and let's do a one with a 2 layer and a 3 layer. Just out of curiosity to see what happens. Nothing on there. And then on the back, you can just about see that that third one has started to bleed through. There is some shadowing with the 1 and the 2, but it's with the 3rd layer that it started to bleed through. So really, I wouldn't recommend using alcohol markers on this, because I don't want any kind of shadowing on the back of my page. It depends how you feel, but it would be a shame. So yes, we've tested the markers. I think that's all I can tell you about the book. It is just, it's huge. It's so well made. It's heavy. It is hardback. It's got the gorgeous ribbon. The paper's incredible. Card paper, whatever you want to say. It is absolutely stunning, and it's one of those coffee table books that you can leave out, and people that come visit are going to be really intrigued by, what is the world of Wildergorn, like what is this all about, you know? It's also really great being a compact book rather than posters, because you could essentially colour this whole book and leave it as like an heirloom, you know, pass it down to your kids and grandkids, because it's got that story element inside, and it's something that you've coloured by hand. I think it would be a lovely thing to be able to pass down through the family. But yeah, oh, is there anything else I can tell you about this? I don't think so. Hopefully I've not missed anything major. I'm going to give you the details to buy it, of course. So you can get it from Etsy. You can get it from Jamie's website. On Etsy currently, it's £44. That's Great British pounds. I don't know what that converts to in the US, but I believe he does ship worldwide, I believe. So you should be able to get it no matter where you are, but obviously you will have shipping costs to incur. But I think, to be honest with you, £44 sounds like a lot for a colouring book. It does. I completely agree and understand. However, this is no normal colouring book. You can tell that this has cost money to create. You can tell that. You know, the binding, the cardstock, the hardback, everything comes together to tell you that this has not been chucked together in a factory and mass produced. So I believe that the £44 is definitely worth it. And if you think about books that you've bought before, maybe from Korea or the Japanese colouring books on Etsy, you've probably paid with, you know, somewhere near that for some of those books. So I think it's a great price. I think it's very well priced, and I hope you agree. So let me know in the comments what you think. I'm sorry yet again for another rambly review. I do keep getting little comments now and again from trolls telling me I ramble too much. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Check the description for the links to buy. Any questions, let me know, and I will see you soon on Colour with Claire.